Hey, beautiful people, and welcome back to AKA Mama. If you're new here, my name is Tafar, and today I'm going to be talking about the first meal I had or was supposed to have after 70 hours in labor. So a few weeks ago, I met up with a cousin of mine, and we had really interesting conversations. And during this conversation, I realized that of all the research that I've done, I mean, if you've been watching my channel, following what I speak about, you'll know that I'm really big on research. One thing I never stopped to think about throughout my pregnancy was what my first meal is going to be after giving birth. And even, afterwards in the moment, I was not even thinking about food. But retrospectively, I'm like, wow, kind of crazy. I didn't think about it because it's such a big topic. Like the spectrum of what people get to eat or do not get to eat is very interesting. So generally, when it comes to hospital food in Germany, they focus on light digestible meals, minimal indulgence, and it should be cost efficient and budget friendly food. So 70 hours after giving birth, we're done with the whole labor thing and everything, I was served a platter. And when I saw the food, I was very surprised because I had not stopped to think about it in advance. I had a slice of sourdough bread, a slice of cheese, a little cup of yogurt, and a tomato. I'm not sure if a raw tomato, I don't eat raw tomatoes. I'm not sure if there was a slice of cold meat or something, but I was like, oh my gosh. After all this is the meal that I'm getting. Luckily, I wasn't hungry, so I didn't eat it. But through discussions that I've had with other moms and other women, I soon found out that this is very common in Germany. Now, I'm not saying that's what everybody gets, but everyone that I've spoken with about this topic, that is what they got. Like, they got that similar, very bland, boring meal that is not wholesome, that you're not excited to be eating after all that hard work. So yeah, my cousin that I spoke with, she mentioned that her husband went home and he cooked sadza for her. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so smart. That is absolutely smart. And then I started having this conversation, with other people, other moms, trying to find out what meal they had. So I will say I didn't stay in hospital afterwards. I opted to go back home. So luckily I was not like in the situation where I had to further eat this bland hospital food. But this triggered, me starting a conversation in one of the groups that I'm active in on Facebook. I shared what a typical German hospital meal looks like, and I wanted to know from other moms what their first postpartum meal was. The outcome was very, very interesting. I had people from all over the world responding. So, of course, you had people from the US, from England, from Scotland, from Switzerland, from Sweden, from Denmark, from Mexico, from South Africa, from Nigeria. No Zimbabweans responded in that particular group. I'd also be curious to know what people in Zim would actually be saying their first postpartum meal in Zim was. The list of countries is endless. My key takeaway at the end of the day is that, the food served in hospital, it's something very cultural. If you're pregnant and you're not aware of what the situation there is, and you're highly attached to food or you're emotional about it, I think you should have a sit down and really think of what it is that you want to eat afterwards. So in the US, there were people sharing a lot of steak meals, large portions, people sharing, photos. But what they did emphasize was that afterwards, they also got really, really, large bills covering the food. And then you have the Scandinavian countries. They have like a wholesome, pretty decorated food served. It looks good. The UK was conflicting. So there's some people that were posting shepherd's pie. Some people said, oh, you got the toast with butter and a cup of tea. Some absolutely loved it. Some said it was not enough. It was too bland. I remember a picture of some bland mac and cheese. Somebody had lamb stew. And there were all these different kind of meals. Ooh, Asian space was very interesting. Thailand had really good meals. The best I saw was from Japan, you get this spread that looks like you're in an amazing restaurant. There's like multiple options. I don't think a single person can even finish that. And that was amazing. So, I mean, if you're interested in just seeing or knowing what it is, I'll put up a picture here. But you can just, look it up on Google and see what people are being given in Japan. And what I also loved is that they often also have enough for you to share with your partner. So that also differs from country to country. There's different setups of where you have the menu, you can pick whatever you want to eat. But one thing that shocked me the most in all of this, of course, I didn't even stop to preoccupy myself with my first meal afterwards, right? But one thing that really shocked me was that a lot of people that go into labor and give birth after the kitchen has closed, they all reported that they got nothing to eat. I can't imagine that. I cannot imagine, like, there's a kitchen in the hospital, there's options, right? And you're just not getting something to eat because the kitchen closed. So yeah, there's some people that were telling stories of they had to wait until, the next morning, then they got breakfast. Of course, best and ideal in such a situation is to get your partner or whoever's gone to hospital with you to go and get you something to eat. I feel like that's always the best bet, but it also depends on the time and where you're located. If you live in a remote area, it may be that there's actually nowhere where you can get food at that hour. Absolutely crazy. So my key takeaway being, of course, I know these days, if you're downloading a list from Pinterest, from the internet, from wherever, when you're packing your hospital bag, of course, you're going to put snacks and whatnot. But I think I would also highly recommend that you think in the event that the kitchen in hospital is closed when you go into labor, do you have snacks that are sufficient enough to somewhat substitute a meal? Because you really don't know whether there's going to be something that hinders your partner or whoever's going to hospital with you, something that hinders them from going to get you a proper, wholesome meal. This was so interesting, so mind-blowing for me, because I was like, wow, this is definitely a topic I was absolutely clueless about. So yes, my key takeaways, really think about that meal that you're going to have after, you give birth, if it's of importance to you. And I think it should be of importance. It's better to be prepared to have something. And if you don't want it, you don't have it. And also, especially if you're, going into natural labor, you don't know what time the baby is going to be born. If the baby is born when the kitchen is closed, you don't want to rely on vending machine food, or you don't want to have to wait until the next day for breakfast, depending on where you live. I found this so interesting. I mean, I've had enough conversations with different women all over the world about this topic. But if you have an interesting story to share about what your first postpartum meal was, whatever was served in hospital, whatever your husband or your partner went and got for you because you so badly wanted to eat that, I'd love to hear about it. I look forward to reading about it. Drop a comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, click the like button, share with a pregnant mama or somebody you know had an interesting meal story after they gave birth. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. See you next week.
Like, comment, subscribe, and share.